Good morning, my dear students. Today we will read the chapter number 13, page number 104, The Old Sea Dog. This story is an extract from Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. The story is narrated by Jim Hawkins, whose parents own the Admiral Benbow Inn. Sure, this is not the whole story here. This is an extract apart from the main story, that novel that is Treasure Island, written by whom? Robert Louis Stevenson. And this story is here narrated by whom? Jim Hawkins, whose parents own the Admiral Benbow Inn. So we will get the name of Admiral Benbow Inn here in the story. One day, an old sailor arrives at the inn with a large sea chest and decide to stay there. Where? In Admiral Benbow Inn. Who came? An old sailor with what? A large sea chest box. He plunged them into adventures full of suspense, danger, and thrills. He plunged them into adventures full of suspense. He told them the stories of the matters. Put them in the stories of adventure full of suspense, dangers, and thrills these are. Now let's start the story. Squire Trelawney, Dr. Livesey, and other gentlemen, having asked me to write down the whole particulars about Treasure Island from the beginning to the end, I take up my pen to do their bidding. Okay, so the writer is starting writing the story in the request of whom? Squire Trelawney, Dr. Livesey, and other gentlemen. Okay. Next, I go back to the time when my father kept the Admiral Benbow Inn. So, who is writing here, narrating him? Jim Hawkins. And he's telling that I go back to the time. He's telling the story about the past when his father had the Admiral Benbow Inn. And the brown old seaman with the sabre cut first took up his lodging under our roof. So sabre cut means what? A scar caused by a sword. That means in a human being's face, a cut mark was there, which was happened by what? A sword. And the brown old seaman was coming there and took the shelter in the lodge. I remember him as if it were yesterday. He came, so I can remember him now also properly, like I have seen him yesterday only. He came plodding to the indoor. Okay, he came plodding to the indoor. That means with a heavy step to our inn's door, with his sea chest following behind him in a hand barrel. He was a tall, strong, heavy, nut brown man. His pigtail falling over the shoulders of his soiled blue coat, his hands racked and scarred with black broken nails, and the sabre cut across one cheek, a dirty livid white. Okay, dirty livid white. That is what? A discolored type of white it is. Okay. So here in this paragraph, the narrator, that is Jim Hawkins, nicely given the description of the old seaman, how he was looking, like all the things he described here very nicely. He was tall, strong, okay, scarred all over the hands, and maybe in face also the cut marks are there. I remember him looking round the cove and whistling to himself as he did so, and then breaking out in that old sea song that he sang so often afterwards. I remember him looking round the cove and whistling to himself. So, cove means small sheltered bay of the seashore. That small room for staying there, and he's whistling to himself in his own mind. And he did so, and then breaking out in that old sea song, and he was singing a old sea song. He sang so often afterwards, and later also he was singing the same song. What it was? 15 men on the dead man's chest. Yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum. Okay, that is the general song of these type of people here. He sang it in the high, cold, tottering voice that seemed to have been tuned and broken at the capstan bars. Okay, so he was singing in a tottering voice, that is shaking voice, not a steady voice. Okay, not steady in voice, and and broken at the capstan bars. What it is? Capstan means what? It is given in page number 109. What it is? A heavy cylinder of wood or iron fixed upright on the deck of a ship used for winding rope. Okay, so it was kept there. Then he rapped on the door with a bit of stick that he carried, and when my father appeared, called roughly for a glass of rum. So his father, the owner of that Admiral Benbow Inn, to him he was asking for a bottle of rum drink. This he drank slowly, like a connoisseur, lingering on the test. That is, he was taking the test. That's why he was taking it very slowly. Lingering means moving aimlessly generally, but here it is, he was drinking the rum very slowly to take the proper test and looking about him at the cliffs and up to our signboard. He was looking at my father, and the signboards are there for the inn to eat also. This is a handy cove, said he at length, and a pleasant grog shop. Do you have much company, Matt? Okay, so what is the meaning of grog shop here? That is a shop selling alcoholic drinks. So he is praising our inn and as well as the bar also, what it is there. My father told him no, we had very little company, which was a pity. So I have a very little company, not a big company I have, and it is a pity means very sorrowful that my business is not so big. Well then, said he, this is the place for me. Here you, matey, he cried to the man who trundled the barrow, bring up my chest. I will stay here a bit. So he's telling that, okay, that's good for me as it is a small. I will stay here for a few days, maybe for a few some time. So bring my things here for me. Turning to my father, he continued. After that, he was telling continuously, I am a plain man, simple man. Rum and meat and eggs is what I want, and that head up there to watch for ships. And I am here to watch the ships. The ships are going, coming, all these things. And what the food habit, he also told here. What shall you call me? In what name you will call me? You might call me Captain. Oh, I see what you are at. And he threw down 3 or 4 gold pieces on the threshold. You can tell me when I have used up that money, said he, looking as fierce as a commander. Fierce means very not so good way. He was telling that in a commanding way, and he gave gold coins. That is very much valuable. And indeed, though his clothes were bad, he spoke coarsely, roughly. He had none of the appearance of a man who was an ordinary sailor. So he is not looking like an ordinary sailor. His attire is not like an ordinary sailor. He seemed more like a mate or skipper, accustomed to being obeyed. Mate or skipper, accustomed to be obeyed. Mate or skipper means what? A term usually used for a sailor. So he is not like a sailor. He is more than a sailor, and he is accustomed. He is habituated to get more respect than a sailor. The man who came with the barrow told us that he had come to the previous morning and that he had inquired what inns there were along the coast. So the man who has come there, he is telling also about what? That he inquired about the inns and the sea coast. That's sea areas. Hearing that ours was lonely and well spoken of, he had chosen it for his place of residence, and that was all we would learn of our guest. And he explained what? That why he has chosen that Admiral Benbow Inn. Why? As because it was lonely, not so much gatherings are there, and it is well spoken of, means it is famous. That's why he choose that place to stay, and that was all we could learn of our guest. So here all about we learn of the guest. That means the brown old seaman. He was a very silent man by custom. All day he hung round the cove or upon the cliffs with a brass telescope. All evening he sat in a corner of the parlor, that means his own room, next to the fire in front of the fireplace, and drank rum, and he was drinking, and water also. Mostly, commonly what? He would not speak when spoken to. If someone asked him anything, he was not replying properly. Only look up with a sudden and fierce expression, angry expression he was giving, and blow through his nose like a foghorn. That is making a sound from his nose. Soon, we and the people who came to our inn learned to let him be. So, how to behave with him, we have learned after that. Every day, when he came back from his stroll, is moving here and there, he would ask if any seafaring man had gone by the road. So, if any man who is depending on sea has come from here or not, he was asking to others. At first, we thought he missed the company of his own kind, so he was asking for his any friend, and he asked this question. Okay, but at last we began to see that he was desirous of avoiding them. He was trying to avoid of his own kind of person. Maybe some incident has happened. When a seaman put up at the Admiral Benbow, he would look in at him through the curtain door before he entered the parlor, and he was always sure to be as silent as a mouse when any seafarer was present. So, it was the incident of one day when one seafarer came there. He was looking at him from inside, behind a curtain. Okay, for me at least, there was no secret about the matter, for I knew what made him too so tense. So I don't know why he was so tense after looking at this type of person. He had taken me aside one day and promised me a silver fourpenny on the first of every month if I would watch out of a seafaring man with one leg. And he was giving a type of rupees to me and tell me if you can find any seafaring man with one leg and let him know the moment he appeared, and inform him I have to take money and inform him if any one leg seafarer man will come there. Often enough, when the first of the month came round and I applied to him for any wage, he would only blow through his nose and stare me down. Look at me at one eye, look at me properly, continuously. But before the week was out, he was sure to bring me my fourpenny piece and repeat his orders to look out for a seafaring man with one leg. So what it means that when the proper date of the month first it was coming, when the time of giving me money was coming, he was looking at me and different kind of look he was giving. But when the things he reminding, he after that giving me the money. Okay, how that one-legged personage haunted my dreams. So he was that one-legged person. Maybe the person was getting fear of him. One stormy night, when the wind shook the four corners of the house, that means wind was blowing very heavily, and the surf roared along the cove and of the cliffs. The sea is making sounds. Okay, I would see him in 1,000 forms and with 1,000 diabolical expressions. Okay, so different kind of expression was coming in his face. Okay, wicked type of expression, that not a good man's expression was there in his face. Sometimes I thought what? The leg cut off at the knee, sometimes at the hip, sometimes he was a monstrous kind of a creature, that is type of a giant type of animal who had but one leg in the middle of his body. To see him leap and run and pursue me over the hedge and ditch was the worst of the nightmares and all these things. So he was seeming to me what? A type of a giant, a bad looking person, not a good person, a wicked person to me. And altogether I paid pretty dearly for my monthly fourpenny piece, as I was haunted by fear. So as I am taking the money, I was getting fear little bit. But though I was so terrified by the idea of the seafaring man with one leg, I was far less afraid of the captain himself than anybody else who knew him. So I was not getting so much fear. Why? As because I know that he was getting fear from a one-leg person, seafarer. There were nights when he drank too much and he would sometimes sit and sing his old wild sea songs, minding nobody. So it's the same song that we have read on the second page. He was singing the same thing. But sometimes he would call the glasses and force all the trembling company to listen to his stories or join in his songs. That means who are present there in the inn, he compelled them to listen to his stories. Often I have heard the house shaking with yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum with the song that he was singing, all the neighbors joining in with the fear of death upon them, and each singing louder than the other to avoid remark. So others are also in fear, join the song with him. At such times, he was the most overbearing companion ever known. He would slap his hand on the table for silence all round. He would fly up in a passion of anger at a question, or sometimes simply because he thought the company was not following his story. So, when he was thinking that all are not listening to his stories properly, or he was thinking that something is indifferent, okay, so he was doing what? Put his hand or slap the table very badly. Nor would he allow anyone to leave the inn till he had drunk himself to sleep. So no one will leave the inn till he will not leave the place. He will sleep after the drinking. His stories were what frightened people most of all. So his stories were fearful. Dreadful stories, fearful stories, they were about hangings, storms at sea, and wild deeds and places on the Spanish main. Spanish colonies. So dreadful about the people who are hanging from for death. All these things he was telling the stories. Okay. By his own account of his own, he must have lived his life among some of the wickedest men that God ever allowed upon the sea. So he was surrounded sometimes with the wicked, bad persons in the sea. And the way in which he told these stories shocked our plain country people almost as much as the crimes that he described. And he was most of the times he was playing among the among the fearful stories, the crime stories. Okay. My father was always saying that the inn would be ruined, for people would soon cease coming there because of the captain's bullying behavior. So the captain was behaving badly. We have already read with the persons who are coming there. So the narrator's father was telling him what? That we have to close the inn very quickly, as because no people will come further. But I really believe the captain's presence did us good. But I believe what? As the captain was there, it will be good for us. People were frightened at the time, but on looking back, they thought it a fine excitement in a quiet and dull country life. So they are getting little bit relief in this type of dull, regular country life. And there was even a party of younger men who pretended to admire him, calling him a true sea dog and a real old salt and such other names. They said he was the sort of a man who was not afraid of anything. So the young people admire him and calling him in different names and admire him very much, and they are telling him what? The person who don't care anything, getting fear from nothing. In a way, indeed, he almost ruined us. For he kept on staying week after week and month after month. He was staying there, ruined us. Ruined us means destroyed us little bit. As because he was staying there for a long time. The captain's money had been used up long ago, but still my father never plucked up the courage to insist on having more. So the money that the captain gave to my father had already finished, and my father was getting fear to ask for more money. If he ever mentioned it, the captain blew through his nose so loudly that you might say he roared and stared at my poor father so angrily that he had to leave the room. So the behavior when my father asked for the money, he behaved so badly that my father getting fear and leave the room immediately. I have seen my father wringing his hands after such incidents, and I am sure the annoyance and terror he lived in must have hastened his death. So it will the cause of his death as he was living the life here. During the time he lived with us, the captain made no change whatever in his dress. I remember the appearance of his coat, which he patched himself upstairs in his room. After some time, it was nothing but patches. So he was with the same cloth for a long time. He never wrote or received a letter, and he never spoke with anyone but the neighbors. Only with the neighbors only he was speaking, not with others. He was a strange man indeed, and no one dared to interfere with him. So he was a strange man at all, and no one is putting their nose to his words. he was crossed only once. Dr. Livesey had came come to see my father who was ailing. So one doctor came to see my father there, ailing, that is ill. While the doctor was sitting in the parlor smoking a pipe, the filthy scarecrow of a pirate began to sing his favorite song, 15 Men on the Dead Man's Chest. So the person who was staying with us was started singing. This did not produce any effect on the doctor, so it was not make a difference to the doctor, who was talking to the tailor, the gardener. So another character it is here, who? Tailor, the gardener. The captain was not used to this. Suddenly the captain yelled out with an oath, "Silence there!" So the doctor was not habituated with the habit of that person, and he was continuously talking, and in reaction captain was doing what? Telling, "Silence there." "Were you addressing me, sir?" said the doctor. So the doctor asked him that, "Are you telling to me?" When the captain told him that it was so, the doctor replied calmly, that silently, quietly, "I have only one thing to say to you, sir. If you keep on drinking rum, the world will soon be quit as a very dirty ruffian. So you will be ruined, you will be destroyed if you are taking the rum in this way continuously." Before leaving, the doctor threatened to keep an eye on the captain. That means to watch the captain properly, the doctor told us. The doctor was a magistrate as well and said that if he ever heard the complaint, he would have the captain hunted down and routed out of this place. So took him from here, as because the doctor was as well magistrate also, he will take the person from here if he will do anything wrong further. The doctor then went away, but to our surprise, the captain held his peace that evening and for many evenings to come. After that, the captain became silent. Behavior was good. A change had come over the old sea dog. So the old sea dog, that means the doctor, little bit changed from that particular incident. It is written by whom? R.L. Stevenson, Robert Louis Stevenson. So my dear students, you have to learn by heart all the word meanings, that is page number 109 and 110 properly. And I have also sending the PDF also with it. You have to read the question answers again and again. And most important thing is that go through the chapter again and again and listen the video properly and look at the video properly. Thank you.